begin the implementation of the early warning agreement that will strengthen bilateral and trade relations between the two countries. This was the highlight of the 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission, BNC, co-chaired by President Bola Tinubu and host President Cyril Ramaphosa in Cape Town.
Let us not count on successes by a number of MOUs and agreements signed. They will be mere papers until we implement them in spirit and in letter.
Together we must work to position our continent as the continent of the future and to realize the vision that was crafted by our forebears.
Still from Cape Town, where President Cyril Ramaphosa commended President Bola Tinubu's leadership in addressing the political issues in the West African sub-region. Speaking from his experience of the similar bloc in the southern part of the continent, President Ramaphosa says President Tinubu's efforts is in compliance with the international demand to lead efforts that is fair and inclusive in the interest of people.
We commend your work as chair of ECOWAS to promote dialogue, mediation and conflict resolution in the pursuit of peace.
Tinubu, recounting his sacrifice during the popular demand for democratic governance in Nigeria, says he remains committed to the cause of democracy on the continent. Members of the National Council on Privatization must strive towards maximizing value from the nation's core national assets for the benefits of Nigerians. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the charge during the meeting of the National Council on Privatization at the Presidential Villa.
On this note, I encourage members of the Council to contribute strongly to our discussions. Posterity will judge us kindly if we make efforts to be fair to the Nigerian people.
And the federal government says the avalanche of reactions trailing the proposed reform bills before the National Assembly are not true reflection of the intention and action of government, and appealed for understanding and restraint. A statement issued by Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris says President Tinubu is committed to accountability on tax bills, directs Ministry of Justice to work with NAS on concerns. The statement further indicates that President Tinubu will always act in the interest of the Nigerian people. The Senate has approved the Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper 2025 to 2027 as submitted by the federal government for implementation. The approved projections include 47.9 trillion naira proposed budget for 2025, out of which 16.4 trillion naira is for capital projects, while 14.2 trillion naira goes to recurrent expenditure. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has passed a resolution urging the federal government to, within 72 hours, unfreeze the accounts of the National Social Investment Programs Agency and lift the suspension on various social investment programs. This followed the adoption of a motion sponsored by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu and 20 other lawmakers.
Urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to mandate the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy to ensure that all frozen accounts of the National Social Investment Program Agency are unfrozen within 72 hours to enable the smooth commencement of all the programs of NCEPA.
Those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Ademola and Claire after the commercial break. Please don't go away.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying. space you need. We have more than destination. We are Nigeria. We are Nigeria. Strengthening unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria. We are Nigeria. Together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Win a brand new car. Make a purchase of 10 million naira or more at any Vento Furniture store and stand a chance to drive home a brand new car.
Vento Furniture, addictive quality.
My champs, they use energy at school.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release.
Milo! Risco tomato. Our food, our health, our tomato paste. Risco tomato paste. The taste of my house. Risco tomato paste. Yai. Richico tomato pesto. Tiwani. 100% natural tomato. Namune. Alelelelelele. Oh. Alelele. Oh. Ale. Risco tomato paste. The taste of my house.
Nivea Pearl and Beauty Deodorant. With natural pearl extracts and avocado oils for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. The perfect balance of 48-hour protection and care with delicate fragrances. Feel the power of pearls. Nivea Pearl and Beauty for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. Try our new Pearl and Beauty Black Pearl for smooth and perfumed underarms.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
One of the better things about this season, now our better times together.
Oyo, time to go.
The not disturb me time. The dramatic time. The exciting time.
Me wait already since, but I don't dey wait for that now.
The nothing fit stop my shine time. With GoTV, it's easy to capture better times. Reconnect and watch GoTV with plenty football, new series, films, cartoon, lower price on Super Plus, and more entertainment. Now better season for everybody with GoTV. Love it.
They swore an oath to serve our fatherland and defend the people. They traded their freedom, comfortable homes, and mortgaged their lives on the battleground for our unity and peaceful living. These are the great, loyal, and committed Nigerian armed forces who risked their lives courageously to safeguard our borders. But in the line of duty, many never returned. Nigerians, arise, let's celebrate our fallen heroes. Put on the remembrance emblem to support the incapacitated and families of our fallen heroes.
Thank you for your patriotic commitment to Nigerian unity, stability, and progress.
Parastatals, religious and corporate bodies to donate generously to the Emblem Appeal Launch. Send your donations to these accounts. Account name, Emblem Appeal Launch. Account number 393-200-7526. EcoBank Nigeria PLC.
You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next is Newspaper Review.
All right, Chukwudi Okelugbaja will now run us through the newspaper. Chukwudi, good to see you again.
Good morning, Claire. How are you doing?
Very well, thank
I should
you.
say good to see you as well. Your recite was so right. So when you put in a reasonable absence from here, I feel it directly. Hello, Demo. What are you looking for? Something that I refuse to do for you.
Jakes,
Okay,
good morning.
let's go, guys.
How are you?
I'm okay, sir.
I think you have one on your phone, right?
No. You got it. So I'll start off.
Okay.
I have two papers. I'll begin with the leadership.
All
And
right.
leadership is leading with this story. Reps in shouting march over tax bills. So it's on 4. Comes with 1, 2, 3 riders. Northern Coalition, Sheikh Gumi differ on reforms. Alpha Beta denies involvement. And Tinubu directs Justice Ministry, NAS, to work on concerns. And the picture of the day, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa in Cape Town for the 11th session of Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission in South Africa, and that happened yesterday. Let's quickly take a look at other very strong stories. We have Senate confirming Olide as Chief of Army Staff. And there are other stories there. Of course, South Korea, this of course just happened this early morning. South Korean president declares emergency martial law, but there are also calls for his resignation or impeachment. Let me quickly take the blueprint. And the blueprint is leading with, as Governor Sutton stands on tax reform bills. Dogara says North stands to gain $25 billion from livestock. And there are 2 riders there. Okay. Of course, Kan president is saying to Nigerians, intensify prayers, things will get better. Oh, sorry, that's from Sultan urging Nigerians. That's the Sultan of Sokoto, says, intensify prayers, things will get better. But Khan president is saying equitable distribution of wealth. Khan president harps on equitable distribution of wealth. Now hear this. Aero contractors slashes airfare to 80,000 naira.
Good news.
6 new investors. I know why I said that. I know something.
Good news.
He's becoming your interpreter.
Yes.
Wouldn't let you finish.
Good news.
When was the last time you flew?
All right.
Yeah.
But
anyhow,
I'm planning to travel this December. So
that was a good one.
Just before you guys continue with the good news, because you remember there's something they used to teach us in those days. They say, look before you leap.
Yes.
What are you trying to say now?
Think before you do.
Think before.
Are you saying we shouldn't just rejoice now?
No. We must understand
the
context.
Okay,
yes.
fine.
70,
go ahead.
There's of course the usual cartoon. I'm a fan of cartoon. I know Victor had taken over.
Josie Ajiboye on Sunday was my best.
Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
In those days.
You just managed to get into that era, so you saw a little of it. But we were in the thick of it.
Yes.
Claire, go on, please. I hope nobody's disturbing your flow.
Thank God I saw a bit of it. There are some people who didn't see any at all. Anyway, this is talking about given bribe. It's data that is released by ICPC, and whether good or bad, it still tells us that we are taking a step at a time. It says 70% of Nigerians refused to give bribes in 2023. But here, the comical aspect of it. The other 30% bribed on their behalf.
Oh, no.
Anyway, whatever this is implying, the fact remains that Nigerians are beginning to shun bribe offers,
yes.
and it's an evidence that we are moving forward. And truly, before we go, I like what NOA is doing at the moment. I don't know if anybody had noticed.
What's that?
NOA.
What are they doing?
Go ahead when you're done with it.
You didn't notice that I stopped talking about fund NOA properly to reorientate Nigerians. We don't know how important that agency is.
Okay,
Go on, please, brother.
okay. Let me just. I have this Nigerian newspaper, and just beside the nameplate, Tinubu's visit South Africa to begin issuance of 5 years multiple visa to Nigerians. Claire, you want to travel? Yeah, okay. So don't allow ethnic, religious sentiments destroy tax reforms bill. That is the federal government warns. It's a reps in rowdy session, wider consultation ongoing, says Senator Musa. Wike directs upgrade of Kabusa School, flags off 9.8 kilometer road project. The local government face heightened expectations over autonomy, says Algon. Nigerians outrage over looted fund for seized 753 duplexes in Abuja. Anti-graft agency discloses why it's concealed ownership identity. Chooks.
Yes. First of all, I want to applaud the fact that South Africa and Nigeria are behaving the way they should behave as pathfinders for the continent and on the continent. I'm not saying any nation is inferior to another nation, but the truth remains that there are some beacons on the continent that, whose action or inaction could spell doom even for us. So I like the way they are behaving now. Remember the xenophobic attacks of 2019? Part of what happened there was that they decided on early warning signs of such occurrence, recurrence. It may not happen again. The woman would say, Ozuemena, because it was black on black violence that became an ill wind that blew nobody any good. You understand? But apart from that, you said 5-year multiple entry visas for business people and tourists.
Yes.
That again tells you that the camaraderie is really growing.
Yes.
It is to the benefit of the continent.
I welcome the development, but I really differ on at the bilateral level.
Yes.
South Africa and Nigeria both have no problem. They're very at bilateral level.
Okay.
That's no problem. The problem is with the people who do not even understand, the history of both countries, yes, or the bilateral relations between Nigeria and South Africa.
Is it the Nigerians that don't understand all
no,
the South Africans?
I said the people. Yeah. I'm not segregating between Nigerians and South Africans. The people. If you look at the number of companies that are in Nigeria, where are they from? In telecommunication,
That's
where are they
true.
from?
MTN.
Yes. So exactly. So we
yes.
only need to
Shoprite.
we only need to strengthen a bilateral
Exactly.
relationship and smoothen the edges, And also, while we are applying or giving us this 5-year multiple visa waiver, we must also take time to ensure strict enforcement, because right now a lot of Nigerians will take advantage of that. And before you know, another
Japa syndrome.
will be to South Africa.
I hope it's not too obvious. I'm getting green with envy. She became the newspaper reviewer. She's taking my job.
No, I'm sorry.
But Claire, that was a good one.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
You can't overemphasize it.
Yes.
That's a very good one. Let's go a little comical. I was at the Johannesburg, we had a stop over there and got into this beautiful supermarket that was endless, And I got to the front desk. When the lady found out my name was Chukwudi, I was from Nigeria, she took the phone. I can't remember what your brother is here. Your brother is here. Do you know that South African women feel that Nigerian men look after them a lot better than many people?
Chukwudi, don't go there again. Don't go there.
Oh,
Just leave
look
that
at you. I'm not joking.
No. That is the sub.
Okay. But we're going to talk about it.
Nigerian ladies don't want to hear that.
No.
Really?
They don't want to hear
No,
that.
South African men don't want to hear that.
No, Nigerian ladies don't want to hear that. That
Anyway,
we are
I am
good.
one of those who say Africa must learn to treat ladies well. And if we go to South Africa and Nigerian men are discovered to be people who treat ladies well, for crying out loud, we should take accolades.
Thank you, both of you. Let's look.
Yes.
There's a story you read about Wike and road project. And
yes,
in fact,
yes,
that
yes.
I was trying
to upgrade the Kabusa School, flags off 9.8 kilometer road project.
I don't know if it is Wiki that is, you know, I was trying to you know, remind you about the Karishi Nyanya road.
Wiki in action.
No, I mean that was. I mean it was live yesterday.
Wiki
This
in
particular
action.
one was live yesterday.
You know, you need to say whatever we like about his
You
politics.
need to see
You're
that
free
road.
to have your opinion about it. He's controversial. But what he's doing on Karishi Nyanya Road, and what is happening also on the Apo Karishi, he said, how could a project last 13 years and you don't complete it? Let's give this man.
Yes,
they say wiki is action. Action is wiki.
The only appeal I want to make on behalf of residents on that axis is please for Nigerians to be law abiding. The recalcitrant drivers try to make it a hell of, you know, time driving on that road. Yes. The contractors have made it a duty to work at night.
Yes.
You know, to ease traffic flow on
because
that.
Wike gives himself a deadline. He tries to meet that deadline.
But drivers want to beat the time. They want to drive on the wrong way. They want to, you know. So it was hell. So traffic on that axis, you know, is something that you don't want to.
The other one I hope they will do is to return the speed brakes when they have finished construction.
Okay.
Because many of us drivers are crazy on that road.
Reckless.
Reckless. That's why we are there.
Okay.
The tax bills, I think, is softening. I think more consultations are coming. Governors of the North, I hear, are softening. Actually, you said something about don't give ethnic. It's not an ethnic thing, really. It's a geopolitical thing. And it has to do with industry intensity affecting VAT collection and all that. That's actually what they are talking about. But I think at the end of the day, because I saw the rather lopsided sharing, if my source was right. Somebody, you know, collects about 6 billion, ends up getting a share that was more than what they collected in their state and all that. So there are anomalies that need to be.
You know, I hope
it's the derivation-based, you know.
Yes, I hope that.
No bill is actually perfect, but then you cannot just throw away the baby with the bathwater. But what the government is saying is, come, let's sit down, let's judge all.
Exactly.
Let's look at some of the loopholes so that we can correct it, but allow the bill to go.
You know, Demola and Chooks, I'm just saying that I hope we will have the privilege of having the chairman of that, you know, I don't know if he's been on Good Morning while I was away, but it would be good to have him come here because I watched the data he gave, you know, the breakdown of what is possible, you know, under the new reform and what was. And the difference, the discrepancy or the differences in derivation per state is mind-blowing.
It's not mind-blowing.
Yes.
Almost nonsensical.
I'm telling you.
To my layman's thinking.
You know,
I don't venture into areas I'm not
you needed to see Lagos State that, you know, presently is getting 85%, you know, from VAT, number one, River State number two. Under, you know, the new proposed bill, Lagos State will come down to 15% or thereabout from 85%.
States are going to get more.
So it would be good, really, to have him, and we're using this opportunity to also extend invitation to him.
I think it's just having a better understanding.
My appeal, exactly. My appeal is at least listen and understand where I'm coming from.
Yes. A lot of people don't actually understand the bill, but they're just reading what they read on the social media and all that.
Yes, but people are also asking, why the hurry? So we need to put a face, yes, you know, to that as well. And the governors are also saying, look, come, yes, it's not the whole bill in its entirety that we have issues with. For instance, the governor of Nasarawa State talked about the benefits, you know, multiple taxation that this will, would address.
Clear small businesses like my own would even have tax holiday or become tax free.
Those who are earning 800,000 naira per annum will not pay any VAT. No, nothing. So if you are Anyway, I don't want to speak.
You are not their mouthpiece, right? Chooks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Have a good day,
So we'll see you tomorrow.
You too.
Well, we'll take a break now. Good Morning Nigeria continues. Stay with us.
Federal Government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipments will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Nivea Dry Deodorant with 72-hour reliable odor protection from Dual Effect Formula for a dry and fresh skin feeling that gives you confidence every day. Nivea Dry is now available in 25 ml for 72-hour odor and sweat protection.
My champs, they use energy at school. Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
I think Amaka should just move out of the house. Yes.
No. Standing out of the house is not the right thing to do.
Oh, there you go again with your sentimental family stuff.
Baby, if our aim is to stop this affair, it is best achieved under our roof.
You do something terrible and you'll be acting innocent.
What are you going on about?
Don't ask me that question again. You couldn't even control yourself in the presence of our visitors.
What are you accusing me of, woman?
My son, I don't know how serious you are with my daughter, but there's something that needs to be done urgently before you move any further.
Anything, just anything, just say it. I'm ready to do anything.
There is a spell that needs to be removed.
A spell?
Family forever. The story of our lives.
Why do we have to arrange all the goodies into a tower? We should all take what we want, as we want, and when we want.
From Pets, it's important to secure the goodies and protect them for everyone. We want to make sure there's enough for everyone, even on a rainy day.
I don't see the point.
Oh no! Our tower! No! From Pets!
Oh, sorry.
This is a perfect example of how one poor choice can bring down something so great.
And our one small good action can make a big difference.
Remember, everyone, let's focus on making the right choices and doing small acts of goodness. Together, we can build something even more magnificent for everyone and ensure that it lasts.
Welcome back, and you're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. Now, to begin our conversation this morning on the security issues in Benue State, and we tagged it Tackling Security Challenges in Benue. Let's listen quickly to a background report put together by our correspondent, Ibrahim Dan Amidou.
Benue State,
located in Nigeria's north-central region, has been grappling with security challenges that have left communities devastated. From herder-farmer conflicts to kidnappings, banditry, and communal clashes, the state has been plagued by violence. But what are the root causes of these security challenges? And what can be done to address them? The herder-farmer conflict is one of the most pressing security challenges in Benue State. The conflict has resulted in the loss of lives, destruction of properties and farmlands, and displacement of communities. Experts say the conflict is rooted in competition for resources, particularly land and water. Climate change, poverty, and inequality have also contributed to the conflict. To tackle the security challenges in Benue State, a Tier 1 response is necessary. This includes strengthening security operations, particularly in rural areas, and addressing the root causes of the conflict. Promoting sustainable agriculture practices, providing support to affected communities, and addressing the humanitarian crisis are also crucial steps towards reducing the security challenges in Benue State. Experts in this episode of Good Morning Nigeria will x-ray the security challenges in Benue State and proffer solutions to the lingering crisis.
Thank you, Ibrahim Danamidu, for that background report. And we already have joining us in the studio a guest that will be involved in today's conversation, which is tackling security challenges in Benue State. Let me introduce first Assistant Inspector General of Police Wilson Inalego, retired. He is the former AIG Zone 9 Umuahia, and also former Commissioner of Police, FCT, Ekiti and Kogi State Commands. Is also a member of the Benue State Commission for Peace and Reconciliation. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio, AIG.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good morning.
All right. Also, and we have our security expert, as usual, Dr. Jonathan Isaac Onoja. You are welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right.
All right. Let me quickly introduce the next set of guests joining us for this conversation. And I'll take our guests from the food basket of the nation itself. That's from our Makurdi studio in Benue. We have Donald Akule joining us for this conversation. Mr. Akule, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we have the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Benue State Agricultural Development Company. He's also joining us from our Makurdi studio, Tengia Vese. Mr. Vese, thank you very much for joining us.
Okay, maybe we should just start from Benue State, from our Benue studio, so that they can tell us the genesis of this problem. I mean, it's getting worrisome, the security challenges in Benue State. Let me just start with Chenge. Can you just tell us the genesis, the root causes of these security challenges that we're having in Benue State?
Thank you very much. The genesis of the crisis in security challenges in Benue State began when farmers' herders crisis, the herders coming into our farming communities and attacking and maiming and killing farmers way back about 15 to 20 years ago. And the situation continued clandestinely in the rural areas. It was difficult at first to comprehend the magnitude of what was going on. But as time went on, the government got involved, got aware of what was happening, and began to call the attention of the federal government for intervention. Because the security apparatus at the state levels were are known to be in the hands of the federal government. So it was difficult for the state governor to deploy, successive state governors to deploy security to the appropriate areas in the rural areas to tackle this situation. So the matter developed from that to the level of, say, land grabbing, because the herders were now demanding the land, and the rural farming communities were sent into IDP camps, and there was something of a killing spree. So that was where it started, about 2010, 2011 or so.
All right. Issues like this or conflicts like this, of course, we know would have not just one, but very complex, intertwined, issues that trigger, one action or the other. But let me take the, conversation also to Donald, of course, who is also in our Makodu studio. Donald, some years back, I had the pleasure of visiting, Benue, during one of our, official, assignments. And I was pleasantly surprised at the beautiful orchards I saw. I can't remember the oranges, the mangoes, and then I was also privileged to see the, cement factory, the brick, burnt brick factory, and all that. I hear all those are gone. Can you just paint a picture of what is happening, in terms of agricultural produce, because that is the food basket of Nigeria as a result of this crisis?
As for the agricultural solutions and the problems we're facing in Benue State and by translation Nigeria, this is an economical problem. If we have so much downwardness in the growth of agriculture, productivity is low, and thereby leading to no value addition, no sustainability. So it's an economic problem that has been engulfed by, this economic problem has engulfed our society, and we need an economic solution to it. We have a lot of arable land. Our land is very fertile, but the climate change is putting a toll on our land area. We have depleted land. We have the grassland reducing from the Sahel areas. That is why you will see herders coming into the Benue axis where land is fertile, where grassland is available. So we are rolling out economic solution to return agroforestry, to return integrated farming, and to do simple indigenous farming methods and add some little bit of innovation to it so that that greenery will return. The greenery of planting trees, the greenery of planting crops and harvesting from its abundance, it's what will lead to productivity. And when we solve the food crisis and people have food on their table to eat, they become secure, they become happy. And when you have a happy people that are eating food, growing food, and trading that food, it puts less pressure on the government. And the people are excited to add into the productivity and the economy. And when you have food and it's not being processed, value is not being added, then they pushing it into the market and taking it into different organized market becomes a thing. So poverty puts a toll on the economic situation. Where we have productivity, we must have processing so that the value chain will be encompassing. It will help transporting food, trading, and everybody is happy. So if we are able to pull out the structure that the Benue State government has deployed to quell for food insufficiency and solve the food insecurity problem, then we will start smiling and the basket will, by transgression, become very full. So that is what we are doing in the state. We have rolled out a lot of agricultural program, a lot of women empowerment program, a lot of knowledge transfer to the emerging generation to sustain this for generations to come.
Very much, Donald, for your opening remarks. They are telling us, the efforts that the state government is making, at least to solve the food problem and the economic challenges there. Let's come back to the studio now. The AIG, you've listened to two guests in our Makurdi studio, and telling us the genesis of this problem. And besides the economic challenges and the herders, farmers clashes, what other issues, from your experience, do you think is fueling these challenges, these security challenges in Benue State?
Yeah, thank you again for having me. And I think the challenge that we have in Benue, the herders farmers clash, is the most prominent. Of course, you have incidents of kidnap for ransom, armed robbery, and all these due largely to poverty, unemployment, and a host of others. But I think more likely, the approach to solving these problems, both the kinetic and non-kinetic, both the soft and hard way of handling. And so I think we need to develop, but that's what I think. Have we been able to develop a comprehensive approach to solving these security problems? The herders farmers clash has displaced a lot of citizens and appears to escalate all the time. And a lot of lives are lost, either in the Agato axis or in the Lugo and the other places. And I think the issue is, when you deploy, you have food security, you have human security and all that. What is the strategy that is being applied to resolving this conflict? Because there has always been farmer-herder clash in a way, because the herders use little children to graze the animals, and when they get to the bush, they lay the animals and they play, and the animals wander and destroy crop. And when you go, you find your crop destroyed. And so this has been going on. It's just that it was not handled when it was festering and has allowed to become a monster that it is today. And so the issue, you have the law enforcement approach, you have governance approach, and then when you look at it, is lives are being lost, communities are being displaced. So you begin to have, okay, you want to graze with your animals, must you kill everybody in the village and occupy those communities? And so you begin to see, are there sinister motives for this? So for the aspect of governance, I think there is the need for better coordination. Okay. And there is need to have some kind of structure. And I believe that you really cannot go law enforcement alone. The aspect of governance, and I think, should be handled. And I think there are gaps. And I think if you fill these gaps, because the two feuding parties, the crop farmers and the herders, I think if you create an understanding, it's going to happen. And then there are other challenges of geographical location, the Benue Valley. Where are these attacks coming from? What angle? It's coming from one direction. What is being done about it? What kind of conversation go between the administration of Benue State and the administration in Nasarawa State? Because all the attacks appear to come from that direction. And so you begin to ask, what is it can be done? That is why I say, I think it's more a problem of coordination. Because if you just go on the hard step or kinetic approach, you may not quite understand. But I think if we bring governance into it and then we bring a kind of truthfulness, transparency, and of course, a kind of unity of purpose. I think that's something we should look at as we go ahead in this program. I am concerned about the level of coordination. And I think if we are going to really address the root cause and resolve and solve this, you've got to talk about coordination. And I think that I don't see any structure on ground, dealing with the issue of coordination. So the problems have always been there. Okay. Even as a young person in the village in Benue, and sometimes they destroy the crop, they compensate. The compensations are not always adequate, but they compensate. And in those days, the farmers will invite the headers to settle in a part of their farm. And when they settle, like 5 years, they move to the other part. That part they have left becomes so fertile, and you have organic manure. So the issue that I see, that a lot of lives have been lost.
So what actually happened? What broke down between the farmers and the herders? I mean, it's like the conversation.
Yeah.
Just like you said now.
Yes.
Sometimes, the farmers will invite the herders, come and stay here, because they know that the dongs, they are fertilizers and all that.
Exactly.
So, and at the end of the day, they both benefit. It's like a symbiotic relationship. So what happened?
Yeah, I think one of the issues that escalated is, in my opinion, you find that the herders that have lived peacefully with the host communities, suddenly violence, issues they usually resolve, especially went overboard, especially when life is involved. And what happens is you look for militia to come and solve a problem that you were really solving. And so you have those without cattle and who are the criminal gangs. And so the infiltration and those coming from across the border coming to the local, to the indigenous Fulanis, that, header community, they tend to see the way they were formerly solving problems. Because between the headers, when there is a problem, destruction of crop, for example, you find the header association, maybe the Mietial and all that, they come in between. And then when they got in between, settling between the headers and maybe law enforcement, and it began to have a toil. And then some of them lost through their own people, their own representatives, who were taking advantage of them. And so when it started escalating, a lot of them got into criminality. And even this criminality initially was localized within the headers community. It didn't start by attacking outsiders. What they did was, in those days, they were going to drop leather in Iruga, drop 200,000, drop 300,000, and they continued, and they were doing this among them. But then they were having others from, across the border coming, and others saying they have been attacked by communities, they will raise militia, go and attack those communities. And it began to expand and expand. But the thing rests squarely, even with the association, because in trying to come in between the farmers and the cattle owners, the livestock owners, those officials were not playing very transparent role. And I think this is something, so I am always surprised when you bring the association to resolve a problem, they are partially responsible. It cannot solve the problem. So, and I think this is something that when I watch television, the aspect that you don't rely on somebody that I think has a small role, not all of them, but there are rogues among some of these people.
Dr. I want Dr. Onoja to come in here as a security expert, and I want to believe that you must have done an extensive research on this. All the issues that have been raised so far, reminds me of, Plateau State. It's also in the North Central. There seemed to be an, interrelation between what is going on in Plateau State and what is going on in Benue. Yes, again, the gentleman, the security expert who talked, the Tienge who talked, from Makodi, mentioned climate change. The gentleman also from there mentioned another factor. Our AIG is mentioning several other factors. So from your security point of view, is there any light on the fundamental trigger for what is happening in Benue?
All right, thank you so much. I've listened to AIG, speaks extensively about the root causes and then itemize some of the problems, the root causes, the challenges. And one of the things from putting it side by side with Tengi and what he said is about poverty. You've mentioned climate change.
No, Tengi
mentioned climate change, right? Thank you. And from the overview, the two aspects of this whole thing is fundamentals. However, there are other fundamental challenges that may have triggered these continued killings in Benue State. The political angle has not been actually talked about. The aspects, the inequalities as well, and the unfortunate lack of boundary security. Benue has about 6 boundaries, including Cameroon, from the Ebonyi states, from Nasarawa State, which is most known to many people, from Kogi states, and also in Enugu and all of that. This influx of militias come from various borders, and unfortunately, Benue lacks boundary and border security. And so internal policing of Benue State and some of the policies that the Benue State government lacks itself is the areas I would like to first talk about. You've mentioned the case that happens like in Plateau State and some of the solutions that is actually working for them. I think in your intro, you mentioned the issues of, you introduced AIG retired as a member committee for peace and conflict resolution, something like that, peace reconciliation, yes. Something. I think that is another a way of solving a problem like that of Benue State. But like I said, itemizing the problems in Benue State today, I think we don't have preparatory, prevention, and protection plan. If we do, some of the challenges we're having, taking the instance of Agatsu, for instance, it has been on the rise, recurrence of killings, everyday maiming of innocent people. I remember one time I was traveling along the route and then I stopped at a particular place where I saw, aged women running for helps, calling for helps. And that is around the Ediku axis. I stopped by and then I asked questions and I could see much of them coming from the village. There was nobody to help. I called then the commissioner of police, no answer. I sent text messages even to the spokesperson. There was no answer. And so I begin to wonder what prevention plan the Benue State as a state has itself before we begin to talk about even other factors that is contributing to the challenges.
Sorry if I may interject.
Please, go ahead.
It's sometime in 2020, if I recollect, I think that was the time during the immediate past governor, some chiefs were suspended because they refused to comply with the peace measures and all that. So why is it that the people themselves, have defied the peace measures put in place by even the state government that you're talking about?
Yes, you see, some of this, like I'm trying to mention, I've mentioned the political aspect. There's a traditional angle to it, which is we're going to bring in the traditional rulers and other chieftains or other chiefdoms to come in there. Because some of the issues like the fundamental have been raised, the cattle, the farmers-herders clashes. If you ask questions and take statistics of the numbers of cattle in Benue State today, you'll be amazed with the statistics of the numbers that are even owned by traditional rulers, politicians in Benue State. Not that these cattle travels from various countries and then arrived in Benue State. Some of these cattle are even owned by traditional rulers. And so when you begin to bring certain measures that do not benefit or satisfy their interests as a people, as a person, they're opposed to that. They're opposed to that. And that is another aspect, another angle of insecurity that have been vested on the people. Why? Because every now and then, festive seasons, you see some of these people we call herders take cattle to go and give these traditional rulers. They don't say no to it when they bring it. But when the problem starts, they will claim innocence of it. So that's another aspect. Not as if the state government in the past have not taken action. That is why we came about the inaugurations of the Benue gas. All of these things are, solutions tailored to meeting up the challenges of the Benue insecurity.
What do you think are the needs of the herders?
Well, the needs of the herders the need of the herders is not just one demand. Some demands for permanent stay. Some demands for ownership of the land that you do not own, the land you did not buy. And this agreement, when reached between individuals that give out some of these lands to these herders for temporary stay, it's not registered anywhere. So you cannot exactly tell. They believe, from what I have gathered in the past, when these herders comes and they give you 50,000 naira, 100,000 or 200,000, it is believed that they have paid for that land and not rent. But these guys who initially rent out these lands to these herders do not even have any understanding of what the herders equally mean. You understand? So it is more of the people, like taking instance that of the Agatu. Agatu local government has also themselves, not been settled, because I've been issued the problems of the Acholegba and the Agba people, the fights, the community fights ongoing and all of that. So you begin to hear alleged case of, it is these communities that give the land to these people. It is this community that give this land to these other elders. So they are not themselves even assured of who is allocating this land. You imagine that somebody's son somewhere will just go to the land, call the herders and say, this land, I give it to you, pay me money. And when the problem starts, you wonder who gave her this land to these herders. And the herders believe that they have bought this land. So the true ownership of this land that is being demanded by some of these herders, if you put it into constitution, they may be right, because the people who have been issued have put themselves in that mess. But all we are saying is that the Peace Reconciliatory Committee that we actually inaugurated, or not inaugurated, but then brought out then during the past governor, His Excellency Governor Samuel Oton, should have ordinarily be inaugurated to bring these people together, side by side, understand their plight, and then see where they can now solve the problems. But I do not see the current administration of His Excellency Governor Aicent Alia. I do not see any formidable force, any position taken so far to see how these problems can be solved. We are dealing with the issues of herders, farmers clashes. We are not even talking about the criminal activities that goes on a daily. We've heard allegedly in the past where brothers will carry their own brothers, sell them out to these guys, and then before you know, they say they are being kidnapped. Most of the kidnapping issue that is happening in Benue State today, it is somebody that knows somebody that does not want somebody to exist, or that is either being aggrieved with the person that will give her the name. I'll give you an example. Some lecturers from Benue State Polytechnic, including the rector, after a meeting in Makurdi and there were some kind of fights, I don't accept with this position, I don't accept with you, you don't accept with me, I oppose this. While coming, they were kidnapped along Nakao to Road. They were kidnapped along I personally donated money because one of the lecturers was even from my community in Adumotupa. I have to personally even contribute personal funds because people will like raise funds so that they can release them. The government did not do anything. This is not herders farmers clashes. I'm trying to let you know that there's no practical formations in the state currently to mitigate any challenge.
Okay.
And that's why the Honorable AIG said, look, he has not seen any actions of the government to even solve these problems at hand. Now, medical students traveling from Bauchi State or somewhere were even kidnapped along Otukpa Enugu Road. Do we have to have people from Taraba State, hunters guards, all the way coming to the state to come and rescue these guys?
So this Benue State Commission for Peace and Reconciliation
it's not active.
Okay.
It's not active. So that's to tell you that even the government did not put any practical steps or formation on ground to mitigate any challenge. Last year, October 20th, 2023, you recall the Otukpo Bank robbery. What has happened? Nothing has happened. Just about 2 weeks ago, it's in the same Otukpo where Barrister Mark Ofikwu was assassinated right before his gate. I traveled from GRA in Otukpo at 2 a.m. to Otukpo roundabout. There was nobody to ask me the traditional questions from where to where.
You know, Demola,
you go to now.
Sorry, I need to, Demola, you know, we are having a conversation, and I'm not sure that you are part of the ESCO of the present administration in Benue. So let's just, you know, restrict her. You don't know what he's doing.
No.
So you can't say it's not working.
Let me tell you something. I am from Benue State, in case you don't know.
Okay.
Are you understanding me? I am an indigene. I'm from Ogbadibo local government of Benue State. And 3 days ago, I spoke with faculty about all the local government chairmen. You understand it? To know the situations at hand, how we can come in. Because in the year 2020, I moved myself and my association, the Association of Idoma Private Security Practitioners, which I am a president.
So you are part of the resolution measure.
I'm not trying to let you know that not by the government. The one we, the natives, have found that, look, we did not see government practical steps in solving these problems. And so the alternative in this instance is to see how we can bring in neighborhood watch, integrated neighborhood watch, and community policing to see how we can solve the problem. Because it seems the government has abandoned the people. No, I understand that regional security solutions cannot solve conventional insecurity. But another way around, we can still begin to use that measure to keep, taming the excesses of some of these bad guys in the zone, pending when there's an intervention. So I am trying to itemize some of these challenges, and this is not full and it's headers clashes. Yes, I am telling you some of the insecurity happening in the state. Just few weeks ago, about 23 persons were killed in Logo, local government of Benue State.
That is still not headers.
Yeah, no, this is not headers. Now, just few weeks ago too, in Okpaku local government, there were burnings of houses. These are just community clashes. Ordinarily, a governor who is, coming up with practical solutions and peace resolving, solution would have come up. Just a single visit of the governor. Gentlemen, I'm aware of the challenges you're facing. I know this is happening at this time, but I want you people to please, bridle down your tongues in what you do, reduce the excesses, and then let's live in peace. You see, that singular act shows an exemplary, leadership that this guy is, up to something. And then you can now call the leaders, the community leaders, the traditional rulers. That has happened in the past before, though. We've not had that kind of, solutions where everybody, the native integrated solutions, where everybody says their challenge, what pains them. Even you can invite the heads of the association of the headers.
I'm happy you say. So I'm happy you say that you are also because like AIG will tell us, security is a collective responsibility.
I agree.
Yes, and where you feel enough has not been done by the state government, it falls within your purview to also take
when you don't take the security vote of the state, it's within my purview to go and look at the flashpoints of where this is festive season coming. Now it is within my purview still that I have to go and bring in maybe perhaps a surveillance in the zones where we have this kidnapping happening, and then it is still within my purview to see how I can mobilize the police, mobilize these NSCDCs, mobilize the local vigilantes,
Anyway.
making sure that the patrols within the zones is still within my purview, that I do not take the security votes of the state and still go around visiting all the states and know their challenges. It is not possible with, an association that is not funded by the government.
Every layer of
but
people
then
have their
we can
responsibilities.
only bring in solutions.
I agree.
and see how they can
I agree. That's why I said
Okay, all right,
every
okay,
layer of
okay.
people have their responsibilities.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Dr. Noja, you have raised a lot of issues. But let's bring in Tienge in our Makodi studio to respond to some of these issues that has been raised here in the studio. Like the AIG said, the issue of lack of proper coordination of government, activities in curtailing these crises. And just like he said, a lot of community, related issues also fueling, this crisis in Benue State. So what do you think government can do or should do to improve its response to all these security challenges?
I'm thrilled by what the AIG has said about some of the causes, the immediate causes of what is happening in Benue State. Let me first of all go back to our introduction. I'm not actually the managing director of Benue Agricultural Design. I'm a journalist, so that put aside. What the AIG said is very appropriate. You see, from the beginning, when the headers farmers crisis began, because of the inadequacy of the national security to help curtail what was happening at the appropriate time, began a formation of vigilantes within communities to help protect those communities. This has spiraled into what is now known as bandits groups, fighting for supremacy in the communities, which has run out of the range of government control. And to say that there is nothing being done by the government is not completely correct. I'm not holding forth. I'm not holding a brief for the state government. I am not a spokesman for them, but I'm aware of the establishment of public order under the Ministry of Justice that has helped curtail significantly the kidnappings and the attacks by hoodlums from community to community. Now, what happened in Logo that Mr. Onoja is talking about there, where 23 persons were killed, was actually an attack by headers. It was an attack by headers, not these community young people. From Ukemberegia community, Ailamo axis, down, that is boundary Guma local government, and away in Nasarawa there. And then when you come down to Kwatantunga in Taraba State, and then you move over to Wukari axis there, you find that the security presence is the army formation at Anyi, which is over three hours drive to the boundary. And when these people attack, when the headers attack, it takes that time. It takes the disparity of that time for any security presence to be noticed at anywhere close. The people will have been attacked and dead, and properties destroyed, and the headers move over across the river and gone away. So that is one. Like the AIG pointed out, what happened here is the involvement of communities. I've said in a different forum at the time that the involvement of the communities, the community leaders, the traditional rulers and opinion leaders at the community levels will help bring down the insecurity in Benue. That is one thing that can be done. And that is the only thing that can be done to have. If you bring the whole Nigerian army, and if you bring the whole Department of DSS, and if you bring every other security apparatus of the federal government into Benue State, this is within the communities, and the communities leaders knows whose child is involved, from where he comes from. They know their parents, and they can talk to them. But the security agencies coming from outside, our people have a proverb that no matter how vast you are with a community, you don't know the contours of every nook and cranny of the town. So it is the community, if the people themselves that knows themselves, they know who is perpetrating what at a particular time and who is doing this at the particular time. So it is the traditional rulers and opinion leaders at the village level that can help the government. So the public order that the present administration has put in place has involved the traditional rulers from all strata of government, and these people are helping, like in Donga to Donga axis of Kasinala local government. That is in Zone A of the state. The banditry there, the leaders are involved, and the young people have been called. And recently, there've been this surrender of these young people coming to the community centers and to pledging with the community leaders that they were going to lay down arms and embrace peace. This is efforts by the government. And it's a wonderful thing that we are experiencing now. You can drive even at night. It was not possible. When before the present administration came in. It was not possible. But presently, I'm a journalist, and I go to these places to carry out independent investigations as regards what goes on. And when I go to these places, and before now there were fears of people moving around, questions being asked. If I go, they will say, if you ask those questions, you will not be able to get out of this place alive. And I will ask those questions, get to talk to some of these people, and I will hear what they will have to hear. The political gladiators around these places are compounding issues. They are compounding issues. But the involvement of the traditional rulers and the community leaders is helping curtail to a significant proportion of what has been going on.
All right, Mr. Tienge, thank you. Thank you for really correcting us that you're not a security consultant, but you have spoken much more, really. And as a journalist, your knowledge in diverse fields, can equally, make up for that lab. But we thank you. Let's bring in Donald Akule into our conversation. Donald, earlier on you talked about the issue of climate change, of course, which is, leading to resource scarce resources that perhaps may be pushing even the headers southwards, and in the event of that, bringing in some form of conflict between their brother, farmers and all that. Do you have a model, an economic model that will probably address the issue of the scarce resources that will be mutually beneficial for both sides, farmers, herders?
Thank you very much. As the MD, CEO of Benue State Agricultural Development Company, His Excellency, Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Yome Malia, has given us the mandate to bring food security to the state and maintain that mandate as the food basket of the nation. We are working with a model. The model is food basket model. I am just 14 days in the office. I was made an MD. And when I was made an MD, I was given a direct mandate by His Excellency. As I speak to you, all the organized security heads have visited my office. It's very strange to hear the gentleman in the studio talking about things that are alien. We have relative peace. We have over 70,000 hectares of government land. This is government agricultural development area. And most of those local government chairmen that he is speaking about have visited me. And they said, we have relative peace. What do we do to increase our productivity? And as our mandate lies, we have rolled out inputs to give to them. Just this morning, His Excellency sent a mandate to my office that we should declare
Mr. Donald Akule, I need you to really, speak because, time waits for no one. I said scarce resources. That is pushing, the headers towards the south. And in the event of that, there's conflict between farmers and headers. So is there a particular model that you have come out, to address that issue so that that aspect of the crisis, because our guests here raised quite a lot of issues that are not related to, farmer header crisis, that are outside of that. So, but is there a model to address that issue, which is, exacerbating the issues between the farmers and the headers in Benue?
The Benue State government has constituted Homeland Security. Homeland Security is to secure both life and property and land of the state. On the 11th of this month, the Benue State government is going to put together all the security, livestock guard, vigilante, those unorganized security bodies that were forming a committee that was not properly constituted. That committee was inefficient and was not existent. So he's going to constitute a committee on the 11th of this month. That committee will come up with, he has come up with a security model that they will operate with. Those security models are working in synergy with the agricultural model. The agricultural model is to boost productivity and to improve the economic model. Their own security model is to make sure that lives and property are being constituted. So that model, he has organized all those security models that were working in isolation, uncoordinated, and he has brought them to one central security unit that will be inaugurated this month on the 11th. So the model for security is to secure both life and property. And when you talk about security without productivity or food, where there is no food sufficiency, it becomes tantamount to development. So this model, the food basket model and the organized security model is going to work in synergy to make sure that peace is for property, is for life, and is for the land. So when Benue State boosts productivity, you will see that Nasarawa, Taraba, Ebonyi, Cameroon, these axes where they border with Benue, there will be an economic boom, because right now we are working with over 80,000 metric ton of silos. And these silos, if we have agricultural produce stored in these silos, I will tell you will be food sufficient. We will pump this food into the nation and it will sell. So the security model, the organized security model that His Excellency, Reverend Father Dr. Yomen Alia has constituted is a sustainable model. It's not like the unorganized model that was presented to us. We cannot work with things that do not work. We are working with practicable solutions, and we have declared a state of emergency on food insecurity with practical solutions, innovative solutions, agroforestry, syntropic agriculture, integrated farming, and we have rolled out the formation of data collection for farmers and for land. This will boost productivity and the numbers will speak for itself. We will stop speaking in our heads and start speaking with data. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Donald, for rolling out some of the measures that the state government is taking, the different models of for security and also for food in the state. But let's come back to the studio. I know the AIG is really itching to respond, and also Dr. Onoja. But let's speak to the AIG first, because I know I know you want to respond to some of the issues raised there.
Especially the question that my sister.
Before I ask my question, okay, respond.
Yeah, of course I understand what he is saying, but I think we should approach governance with the sense that governance is a continuum.
Yeah.
And I think in July, August 2022, there was a seminar, a retreat for selected traditional rulers with the Totiv and the Chidoma in attendance in Abuja. And they were taught mediating and negotiating skills. And they came up with a communique. One of the communique they came up with that dispute and the kind of situation they have in Benue can be resolved through dialogue and negotiation. One of the other communique is the bill for the Peace Commission in the State House of Assembly should be fast-tracked. And that was fast-tracked. That led to the establishment of the Benue Commission for Peace and Reconciliation. Peace and Reconciliation. But I think that commission is not functioning. And I think I'm sure they can fill some gaps. And it's something I think the government of Benue should, dust their archives and look at it and see how they can make it active. But back to the question about the structure or resolution of headers farmers conflict, which is the dominant issue in Benue State. Like I said, there should be a middle road between governance and security. Security really cannot do much. Law enforcement, it is governance that will solve problems. And one of the things that people do in other places is in communities that are hotspots for livestock farmers and crop farmers clash. You have what they call a cattle settlement committee. And this cattle settlement committee that are in those areas, and we give an example like in Agatu, where recurrent, conflicts. And so in this cattle settlement committee, you have either the district head, the police chief there, and other security people are members of this committee. And what do they do? Even the people, the officials of the Ministry of Agriculture, now I think we have Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, are represented. So you are dealing with the issues of settling dispute. You need to visit farms that have been damaged, and you work it out and say, look, this is how much you need to pay, and that is good. And then in this committee, there is an outbreak of livestock disease. They also intervene and say, look, let's approach government, get drugs, get vaccine, and give them. So you are having a comprehensive approach to resolving, and you bring them together. They are always talking. We are not going to be having, issues are not going to be hanging. And if issues are not hanging, and that is one structure, the right thing, and then they will act as early warning. It means if something is developing, there are new settlers, new people have come with their own cattle from God knows where. And so we have not seen these guys in the community. The indigenous one, this cattle settlement committee can escalate it to the local government and subsequently to the state government, and they can intervene. And you are going to be dealing with issues that you are not going to involve so much of kinetic force. And that is what I think government can do. And again, another thing I think they need to do is, and I remarked about it before, the relationship between the governors. And if you see the situation in Benue, you have somewhere in Nasarawa State, you have Umuasha, you have some other areas there, and like he said there, they are crossing the waters to attack. What are you doing? How are you relating? And then it's also intelligence. And that is why you've got to educate your people on situational awareness. You've got to tell them, well, yes, knowledge sharing, information sharing, and all this. You are going to de-escalate tension in your communities by those simple things with impactful results. Okay. And so I'm happy you said the government formed one public order or something. I didn't quite get the name. But I think, and then Benue to resolve some of this client, I think there's a need to come together. So if something is happening in Logo, happening in Agatu, let it be seen as something happening in Benue collectively. And I think we must approach resolving this conflict with a sense of unity. Okay. And I think that's something that the governor...
Will this sense of unity, just before you take it away, Demola, please, will this sense of unity also embrace the issue of indigenship and settler dichotomy? Because he raised the issue of permanent, requests for, land, permanent stay in areas where they have been, because that is also another trigger.
Yeah. You see, one of the issues in the north-central Nigeria, down to the southeast, there is the issue of land tenure system. That have been there. But it is also resolvable. And it is about truthfulness and transparency. And if somebody comes to settle in your community and he demands for land, you give the land. But you see, relationships have broken down.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I have to cut you in here because we need to go on a break. Yes, it's important. The director has been signaling to me. So when we come back, you just continue from where you stopped, then I will now come to Onoja. So we take a break now. The conversation continues after the break. Stay with us.
Nigeria will only work based on collaboration. We need to start with a mindset shift. There needs to be a shift, in our mindsets to say we need to all see what we can do collaboratively to move Nigeria forward. Now, what am I saying? Without a doubt, this country is replete with talent. We've seen it across board. We've seen that Nigerians will find a way to try and make things work. How about we now bring that and we look to how we can scale it up? We need enabling environment from the government to be able to scale a lot of those things up. From the private sector, we need a private sector that's willing to unleash their own size, what they know how to do best, and collaborate with the government. Let's take access to finance. What are the limiting factors? And what do we need to be able to do to ensure that access to finance is not just at the top of the pyramid, but really trickles all the way down? Without a doubt, SMEs are the engine of any economy. A population of 200 plus million people. We need to find people who will be job creators, not everybody looking to apply for jobs. Some people must create the jobs. I'm particularly enthused at what I see as the young talent in Nigeria, of which there's so many of them. I'm enthused at what I see them doing. They get up and they decide, we will create the jobs. They're creating new markets. They're creating new sectors for us. Now, what does the federal government need to do? Simply enable that, and then give them room to run. Applaud when it's working. There are times perhaps when we must look at concessions to say, well, this is the intent. This is what we're trying to achieve. What do we need to put in place to help them? we will need to buy some time, without a doubt, to be able to see the reforms, bear fruit. And I'm very optimistic about Nigeria. I remain extremely optimistic about Nigeria. People talk about the Japa syndrome. Well, I Japad and I Japadad. No, I didn't actually Japa, but I worked abroad and I came back. There are many stories that abound of people who worked abroad and, we were doing really well, but we felt we had to come back to contribute. I believe that we must allow the innovation and the talent in this country come to the fore. If you look for the silver lining, you will find it. And therefore, what I think that Nigerians can do individually is this. Rather than us, sit in our different armchairs in our different living rooms across the country complaining, look at where you can plug in. There's a dearth of, whether it be volunteers or voices that both critique and proffer solutions. We need to redress that balance and look for a lot more who are willing to proffer solutions. I believe that there are many platforms by which people can contribute. It starts with us deciding, this is my country. I should have a say. I have something to add, I have something to contribute, and everybody does. The countries that are doing better than us across Africa, they don't have better people, they don't necessarily have better resources, they don't necessarily have better management. Perhaps they have a better followership, where the laws have been laid down and people abide by it. Where, for example, you have decided collectively as a whole that we will be a nation that will be devoid of certain things, and people actually do deliver to that. I think that's what people should ask themselves. In their own corners where we cannot see them, are they doing those things that they're trying to hold government or private sector or CSO accountable?
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
All right, welcome back now, and you're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. Demola, you
yes, I wanted to ask Onoja a question, but then let me just allow the AIG to complete his thought.
When relationships break down, you take steps to mend them. And in mending them, because when people who have killed your loved ones, taken over your communities, it's gradually that you heal. And so I think what the government needs to do is to revisit the Peace and Conflict Resolution Commission to do something about it. Yes, it was set up in the twilight of the immediate past government in Benue State. But it doesn't mean that it shouldn't work. I think most of the members are not politicians. So we've got to do simple things to achieve good results. And number one, having this cattle settlement committee at hotspots to deal with the issues of herders, farmers clash. Another thing that must be done, there must be a channel of communication, perhaps monthly or quarterly. The government of Benue State and the government of Nasarawa State must meet and deal with the issues along their banks, those that cross, that go to raid, kill, cause mayhem, and then go back to Nasarawa State. That must not continue. And I think they also, and this is not what you just meet, something that is sustainable. The problem is, you do things, it has an immediate impact, and you forget about it. So there must be structure in place for sustainable peace and development.
Proper structure for sustainable peace and development, doing a simple thing to achieve great results.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, AIG. Now, Dr. Onoja, earlier on you talked about these community issues and that is fueling the crisis there. Now, let's look at how we can provide solutions now. What community initiative do you think will be applicable now to solve these challenges?
All right, thank you so much. First, before I answer your questions, I think I have to be guided, and again, I think I would advise that it is very important that some of our speakers, the thought of some of our speakers on the programs, because it's more of a national programs that has to do with solutions, the thought of some of our speakers has to be moderated, because I know, yes, you're in positions, you have to speak and defend the government and all of that. But then, when we are talking about security, we don't need to compromise any stance. Whether it is, if it is A, take it is A, and then see how you can welcome other thoughts and to develop a better security for people. Because from the thought of the man who spent just 14 days in office, he speaks so much as if he has been there for 40 years.
Yeah, he's speaking from his, his knowledge.
From
what the government is doing. You may not be aware of that. So
well,
that is
and besides, he's an indigent.
I'm also an indigent, but there's no indigent more of an indigent.
You're an indigent, but also he's an insider.
Well, and that's more reason he must defend.
Anyway,
but then let's go further.
All right.
I think why I say that is because he has made up a position. He came up with a thought and said the governor and some traditional rulers came up, and then even the traditional rulers have appreciated the governor that they are having relative peace in their communities, and that they are so grateful to the governor. But I am so sure that you cannot go back to tell the late Oloko's wives and his family that they're having a peaceful lives in those towns. You cannot go back to the late Barrister Mark's wife and family and tell them that they're having relative peace in their communities. Okay. I'm coming, please. We cannot equally go back to the victims and the families of the victims of the Otukpo Bank robbery of 20th October 2023 and tell the families that they are having relative peace. You cannot tell the people that they have been kidnapped along Naka Otukpo Road that they're having relative peace. So let's not go back and then begin to play politics with issues that have to do with the safety of our people. Not until you are involved or you are a victim, you wouldn't know how painful it is. Now, I'm talking about the solution, practical solution.
Yeah.
Neighborhood watch, integrated neighborhood watch and community policing must be a solution at hand. And the Peace Committee or Peace Reconciliation Committee that was inaugurated, or a commission that was created, must be, as a matter of urgency, be revived and see how you can bring in all the participants and members to participate in the issues of security. When you talk about the issue of security, nobody should be left out. It's everyone's responsibilities. And then when you say you see something, you say something. And then the question is that you say something to who? What intelligence? Now, I keep saying that the best of intelligence lies with the natives. So when you want to get intelligence, talking about intelligence sharing, intelligence gathering, go to where the natives are concentrated, and you will get the best of intelligence. But the problems why we've not achieved much of it is the issues of distrust. And the issues of distrust in this instance is that why we're talking about security, community policing. What is community policing? It's not the community versus the police. And so when the trust is not there and the people does not trust the people, or trust the police, or the police does not trust the people, how do you achieve that? So that is why I talk about neighborhood watch, where the natives are involved, the traditional heads are involved, even though their office is not constitutional. You must bring them back because they are also involved in making sure that there's peace in their communities. But like I've said before now, and I keep saying, is that in doing this, there must be practical and physical security. And you cannot even guarantee food security without human security. Like the gentleman keeps saying, keep talking about, oh, there's going to be food security. How can you guarantee food security when there's no human security? The answer is no. So let us first talk about safety of the people that are involved in making sure that these food products are produced and moved from one place to another. When they cannot transport their foods from Naka to Otukpo, from Otukpo to Enugu, from Mekodi to Nasarawa, and shipped it. He was talking about giving out foods to these borders. Do we have border security in Benue State? Do we equally have boundary security in Benue State? So you're talking about creation of one other people, other set of people, that you are in itself, you are creating more problems because there will be no sustainability. The Benue gas that were created, how effective have they been able to manage it? I will tell you that I have so much at my disposal. Why? Because I speak with these guys on a daily. Just yesterday, some of these guys in Otukpo, I don't want to mention the name, we are looking how donating money to buy walkie-talkie for ease of communication. If you are in Otukpe, you can be able to communicate people at the center so that when there are emergency or there are distress, you don't need to be doing the phone call where there are problems of network and all of that. You can use the walkie-talkie at ease to talk.
Sorry, let me interject a bit on the neighborhood watch. Because you have suggested a neighborhood watch.
Of course,
and you have mentioned, you have given us a glimpse of the composition. What else would you require? What would they do differently? And what would you require? What are you saying to the state government about this neighborhood watch?
Our conventional security architectures is centralized. Are you in me?
Mm-hmm. Our oversight. No, I'm not in you, but I'm with you.
The over-centralized security architecture is a problem. And so we need to decentralize that. But since that is not coming for because of this front and back of community policing and all of that, the neighborhood watch is coming not to do anything magic, but to complement our conventional security personnel. Okay. Why? Because we have less numbers. I'm sorry to say this, that the conventional security force are not much, and that gave room to regional security that some states begin to create, like the state of Amoktekun and the Bubiagu and all of that. But I keep saying that the sustainability is a problem. So if we are sincere to the cause, and His Excellency Governor Isent earlier is sincere to the cause, the Benue gas, the hunters gas, the volunteer gas can, be bring into the picture, be supported. Not people that is looking for somebody, people using bringing cattle to give them 1,000 before they're able to buy fuel.
So a further question, to be supported in what ways?
Supported in terms of mobility, supported in terms of their operational gadgets, supported with monetary funds. I tell you for free that people operated in Otukpo banks from one bank to other, about 4 to 5 banks for hours. For hours, where the DPO was killed, there was no intervention.
But you have local vigilantes.
I am coming to that.
Yes.
Because they were not supported, because they were not properly supported in a way, how do you pursue these criminals without proper sophisticated weapons? People bearing arms coming in with that kind of magnitude, and then you want to use your cutlass to fight them? Do you go to fight to war without anything in your hands? These guys were not supported. Travel along the road and see what these guys are giving to. Then guns. And so that is another aspect that they need to be supported.
In one of the local governments some time ago, I can't remember the exact year, when women protested and came out on the streets of, I think it was Makode and all that, protesting that some youth militia were being armed.
Well, that was...
Now you are calling for a neighborhood watch that will be armed.
I'm coming. Yeah. I've given out a template before now. Then under His Excellency, former Governor Samuel Oton, I brought out a template. I have the template and there are solutions. And if we don't have it, we should have it. How? We have people that are retired. It's my dear honorable father here, retired AIG, is retired. He's still active. He has a sense of responsibilities to his communities. He understands, he have the understanding of how these operations works. He can be integrated into his community. Not just this youth that are handpicked from political parties, that are handpicked from either you support my last election and then for that reason I slot you in. You that are used in ballot snatching are the same youth you are arming. If there are terms and conditions and there are processes for the recruitment of these people into neighborhood watch, we have X-men retired that are still active in the society. Some youths we talked about in these instances is youth that have an address, youth that over the years they have been tested and trusted, youth over the years that have been trained. Not this youth that are being supported by politicians and then they are the one they use during campaigns. And I want to tell you something, hold on a minute. Something happened in Otukpo and in Otukpo Obi local government when there was a fight. What happened? Just this idea of peace reconciliatory committee.
I hope you're not going to get out of the chair.
Oh no, hold on. a young parliamentarian, I think the former House of Rep, Francis Otta, came out and came with food items and said, "Gentlemen, please, I understand there is a problem between you and this party. However, I want to come in," and that he did solve the problem. Another happened in Agatu local government. He went there and gave out food items.
Dr.
Now,
Noja.
I'm coming, please. We need to let the governor know because he doesn't know.
Yes.
Who is his advisor?
Yes, Dr. Noja, sorry.
Who is his advisor?
Dr.
He has
Noja.
nothing on the template, and he has no template on Grantomi.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that.
Dr. Noja.
No, you can't say that.
We have over 2,500 people killed in Benue from 2023 to 2024.
Onoja.
It's quite unfortunate.
Dr. Noja, please.
It's quite unfortunate.
It's okay. It's okay.
The people are being nailed and they're being killed, and people are here advertising and then supporting the governor that is not performing in terms of security.
Dr. Noja, okay,
It's
thank you. You have made your points. You have made your points, right? Thank you so much, because we don't have much time. We need to round up this conversation now. Let's go to our Makurdi studio so that we can get their own parting shots. We're looking at comprehensive, plan to tackle this security challenge. Let's Tiango, maybe you can just, briefly tell us what are the plans that you think will work in this instance.
Thank you once again. I like the contribution of our AIG there, our brother, who is seated in the studio there. The contributions are very meaningful. The neighboring states, there should be a rapport between our governor here and the governors of the neighboring states. The neighboring communities have been very hostile. It can only take the instrumentality of government to bring them to reasonable reasoning or bringing peace to their states and Benue. So I agree with him that the governor of Benue State should rapport with the governors of the neighboring states. That is on one hand. On the other is the disarming once again of these groups, community groups, or maybe fusing them back into the security apparatus the government is putting in place
Yeah, sorry, Tienge. I'm really sorry to interject. We're quickly running out of time, but I'll just like Akule, in less than 60 seconds, if you may, to let us know how the new Ministry of Livestock can also be instrumental in addressing the crisis in Benue. In less than 60 seconds, please, Akule.
Thank you very much. For us in Benue, we are using, like the AIG mentioned, we are using simple solutions to solve these complex issues. And we like the contributions from Onoja because he said all these blocks should be centralized and work in unity. That is what has been done. Those people have received trainings and now they are going to work in a unified block. The hotspots where these people come from other states, like Nasarawa, to come through the River Benue, His Excellency Reverend Dr. Hysen Yumenalia has told the operations in that build their headquarters there and quell the situation. So the model we are using, that he is using to solve economic problem, leadership problem, is the model of Humbe, is a word in Tiv language that means community, cluster, community togetherness, and working togetherness. That is what they are using for the leadership. That is what the security apparatus is being constituted to do, to be in a one block. And that is what we are doing to people-centric innovations to quell the situation. We are going to be productive. We are going to protect life with a unified security apparatus. I'm happy that the people from the committee, that committee that was set up during the past administration, are part of the government, and they are sharing their experience and what they learned from that. It will be unified. Thank you.
All right, Akule, thank you. Demola, you have the last question.
All right. Well, let me just, in 30 seconds, just...
I think another thing, you see, the state government alone cannot do it. So the conventional security forces need to be properly staffed and equipped. I think the police recruitment must be fast-tracked. I'm told that the president has approved for 30,000. I think that should be done quickly because the personnel on ground are very lean, and that is hampering their effectiveness so that the public can have confidence in them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, AIG. Wilson Inalego, retired, for your contribution this morning. He's former AIG Zone 9 and also former Commissioner of Police, FCT Ekiti, Kogi State, and a member of Benue State Commission for Peace and Reconciliation. Thank you so much for coming. Dr. Jonathan Onoja, thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you, Mr.
Security experts, we want to thank you very much. And also, we want to thank Donald Akule, who is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Benue State Agricultural Development Company, who is in our Makodi studio. Thank you, Donald. And also, we want to thank Tienge Avase, who also is a journalist. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Thank you.
All right, and that's been Good Morning Nigeria for today. We thank you for joining us. Do join us again same time tomorrow. I'll see you then. I am Claire Adelabu Abdurazak.
And I am Ademola Adio. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.